Call the meeting to order. We'll start with pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Take 30 seconds for a silent reflection. Thank you. Begin by meetings and notes. C1, Boundary Studies Subcommittee will meet on Thursday, August 22nd at 5 p.m. in the board meeting room at the Educational Support Center. 3 board members may be in attendance. Boundary Studies Subcommittee will meet again on Thursday, August 29th at 5 p.m. in the board meeting room at the Educational Support Center. 3 board members may be in attendance as well. We're going to item D, approval of agenda with the following amendments. D1, additional certified and classified personnel actions for consideration, item F3. D2, add item F5B. The Board of Education is asked to consider and approve the memorandum of understanding between USD-457, Garden City Public Schools, and the Compass Behavioral Health for the Mental Health Intervention Team Program for the 24-25 school year. Item D3, add item F5C. Board of Education is asked to consider and approve the memorandum of agreement between USD-457, Garden City Public Schools, and the Kansas Department of Aging and Disability Services for the 24-25 school year. And item D4, remove item H2, Pure HVAC system.
Mr. President, I move to approve the agenda with the aforementioned amendments.
It has been motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mark will second. It's been motioned and seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor, raise your left hand. Opposed, same. Motion carries.
Yeah,
Oh, you can do that? All right, bud.
that doesn't matter.
Okay, we'll move on to item E, delegations, public comments, recognitions. Is there Desdia Clark? Did I say that right?
Yeah.
All right, please come forward. Thank you. We'll have 5 minutes.
Where do I go?
Oh, right up to the podium.
Okay. Be reading off the script. So I'm Desdia Clark. I am manager here in Garden City with T-Mobile. And I'm here today to let you guys know that we have an exciting grant program for the public schools. Friday Night 5G Lights. I know that my boss sent out some emails to some people, so some of you may have already seen this. But it is meant to help bring much needed funding to schools while promoting their football program and getting the community involved. This grant program started on August 16th, and T-Mobile will be rewarding $5,000 to 50 schools weekly for 6 weeks. That's 300 checks. 16 schools will also be awarded $25,000, and 1 school will be awarded a multi-million-dollar field update. It's super easy. All you have to do is head over to FridayNight5GLights.com to sign up. I also wanted to leave you with some information on our hometown grant program. By applying for a shovel-ready project, the community could win a $50K grant. The packet I'm leaving with you has the website info and will explain what is needed to apply with the web link to get started. And one other program that T-Mobile offers is our Project 10 Million. This program provides free internet access and mobile hotspots to eligible K-12 students for 5 school years. So in closing, I'm leaving you with information on our Friday Night 5G Lights, our hometown grant and Project 10 Million. However, the Friday Night 5G Lights is time sensitive and needs immediate attention to be eligible to win the money for your football program. And that's, where do you want me to leave this at? Right over there?
Jennifer, yeah.
Thank you for letting me speak tonight. Did you guys have any questions? No,
Appreciate
appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to item F, the consent agenda.
Mr. President, I move to approve the consent agenda.
I second. We'll move in second to approve the consent agenda as listed. Any further discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. Okay, board reports, recruitment and retention reports. Drew, tell you.
Okay, thank you guys for letting me speak tonight. We wanted to come back. Normally, they did this, board report at the beginning of August. I asked to move it to after school started so that we actually had almost all of our people in place, and knew exact numbers for the board report on the recruitment and retention. So first off, the board's 5-year goal. You guys, a few years back, looking over there real quick. You guys a few years back did your strategic plan. The number one thing on your strategic plan was recruit, support, and retain high quality staff. So going off that, that is what drives the majority of everything that we do inside of what we do. So that's kind of been our goal since I took over, was to recruit, support, and retain high quality staff. Our personnel office goal for next year, for this year that we're currently in, our office goal is to have highly qualified teachers in all classroom positions. Okay, that's our goal. If you guys remember, a few years ago, we removed science teachers out of the daily science positions, put long-term subs into those positions. We've been with long-term subs in a lot of those positions. This is our second year with those long-term subs. What we would like to do, and we think we're in a pretty good place to do it, is start moving forward with replacing those long-term subs with certified teachers. We have a hard time keeping long-term subs in those positions. Long-term subs tend to come and go. A lot of our good long-term subs, they don't want to commit to a full year, or maybe they're struggling with the science content. That science curriculum can be a little challenging from time to time. So our goal next year is to have all core classes filled with highly qualified teachers, and with science being the focus. Teacher shortage. This does get a little bit small, so I'll go slow through it. So in the spring of 2024, the state of Kansas reported that statewide, we had a teacher shortage of 1,634 teachers statewide. It's nothing new. We've been dealing with this shortage since 2000. We really started to see things get bad in 2015, 2016. And then COVID hit, it perpetuated things to be even worse. And now we're at a point where there's a little over 1,600 vacant teaching positions. The big thing that has changed that I want everybody to understand, we have less than half of the number of people going into education that were going into education in the 1970s. So we went through, in the 1990s, we had an abundance of teachers. We had a bunch of people that had gone through education programs, gone into education, and schools really had the latitude in the 80s and the 90s to be able to pick and choose, and they would have multiple people for every single position. whether it was a social studies position, a language arts position, or a math position. Those days have changed. This past spring, the largest university, the largest education university in the state of Kansas is K-State. This past spring, they graduated 178 education teachers. Of those 178, only 53 were in secondary education. The remainder of those were in elementary education, 125. It doesn't take a lot of math to figure out that if we're short 1,600 teachers, K-State, the largest university, is only graduating 178. We're not going to make up the difference. The other thing that you guys are probably well aware of is that the baby boom generation is currently in the process of a mass retirement and going through retirement. So that combined with the amount of people that are actually enrolling in education is a little problematic for us in the education field. Now, on the flip side of it, the one thing I'll say as far as good news is concerned is we are seeing an increase in education enrollment, but it's not the dramatic increase that we're going to need to cover the gap of 1,600 open positions. But we, over the past, since COVID, K-State, for example, they've increased their enrollment by about 40 to 45 students since 2020. But again, it's not near the doubling that we need to occur in order to fill all those positions. So who makes up the education workforce? Obviously, education is no different than any other field. The majority of people in the education workforce are over the age of 40. For us, we have a national average teaching age here, or at Garden City, we have an average teacher age of 41.3 years. The national average is 42.4. So we fall right in that area as far as the age of our teachers. We only have 81 teachers that are in their 20s. On the flip side of that, we have 115 teachers that are in their 50s. Our teachers that are 50 or older, there's 147 teachers that are 50 and older. One reason why that's a little bit concerning for us is because Randy's well aware, you get to retire with Capers 3, you get to retire at a fairly young age. I'll be able to retire at 53 from education. A lot of these teachers, almost all of these teachers that are of that age were in the same retirement pool that I was in, and they'll have the ability from anywhere from age 53 to 56, 57 to go into the retirement phase. Now, a lot of them will choose not to. We'll have a lot of those teachers continue on and teach until they're into their 60s, 65, so they can draw Social Security, but they do have the option of getting out and retiring at that young age of 50. So we have to be very creative in the way that we fill positions here at USD-457, and it's not just an us issue, it's a statewide issue. Everybody's got to get a lot more creative than what we've been. Staff hiring, I feel like we've gotten very creative. If you look at the trends since 2019, on the left-hand side in 2019, you'll see we hired, on the left-hand side is the number we hired, so that bottom number is incorrect. In 19, we hired 90, we only lost 85. If you go up to 2024, we hired 90, only lost 67. But there are some pretty dark years in there. 2021, coming off COVID, we lost 103 employees, certified employees in 2021. But the big reason for the big number is because during COVID, we only lost 63. So a lot of people stuck on and stayed through COVID. And then after the following year, we saw a big jump in resignations and retirements. 2 years ago, we lost 81. Last year, we lost 92. And then this past year, we only lost 67, which it was a very, very good year for us. So we were plus 23, but after a lot of negative years, that's only making a small dent. Staff retention from 2013 to 2023. On average, we hired 63 new certified staff members. We separated from 85. So we were on average running a balance of a negative 23 staff members. Retirements, you can see that we only averaged about 15 retirements. Our retirements were up significantly this year, and we're going to continue to see that go. I mean, it is what it is. We know that a lot of these guys can retire, and they are going to retire. So how do we fill this? One of the ways that we fill a lot of this is with long-term subs. Because we can't fully staff everything back every single year, we're able to fill a lot of these positions with long-term subs. The great thing about hiring in excess of what we're losing is we can cut down on our long-term subs. In 2022, that school year, we had 89 long-term subs. In 2023, the last year, we had 80 long-term subs. Going into this year, we currently only have 42 long-term subs. That is a very big and important deal because with the big reduction in long-term subs, that means our daily subbing pool is getting stocked back up with subs. That's a big deal for our teachers because right now, a lot of times we've moved all these subs to long-term subs. When there is somebody that is sick and we don't have a sub, that means teachers are covering those positions. That's very stressful on teachers not to get plan time to be able to do their work, do their grading, call parents, eat, take a break, whatever it may be. So by decreasing the number of long-term subs, putting them back into the sub pool, that'll pay very big dividends on our teachers and giving them those breaks that we need. Reason for the massive drop. Number one, we hired a lot more than we lost last year. We were able to fill back quite a few positions that we hadn't in the past. Number two, the instruction office worked with us and did a pretty good job of getting a lot of our people that had not been able to pass the praxis test, the teacher test. We were able to get them through the praxis test and the teacher test. And number three, we just got a lot more efficient with the way we handled our staff. We moved positions around. Josh worked long and hard and tirelessly to figure out the best way to create class sizes that were the most efficient class sizes possible so that we could eliminate some of those teaching positions by just moving kids around and shifting kids around to highly qualified teachers. So the big thing moving forward, how do we retain our teachers? We can talk a lot about recruiting, and recruiting is important, but the most important thing is you got to keep dating who you have, okay? So for us, how do we continue to keep our teachers happy? How do we continue to retain these teachers? And how do we continue? I don't ever want to tell somebody to keep teaching if they can retire. They've earned the right to retire, but how can we make this a desirable job to where they don't want to retire? So that's what we're going to continue to work on. Why do they leave? It's pretty easy. You go and you look at, there's a lot of national surveys done, compensation, teachers feel like they're overworked, their mental well-being, poor leadership at the building level or at the district level, and then workplace flexibility. That's what we always hear all the time about why teachers are leaving the profession. The more important thing is, why do they stay? Meaningful work. They had to feel like they're doing meaningful work. They had to feel like they belong to a family, and there's a strong culture in the district and in the buildings. Compensation, they obviously can't starve to death. Geography, the majority of teachers decide where they teach based off geography. They want to be close to family. And then community, they want to feel like they're in a community that values what they do. So those are the things that we've been working hard to deal with over the last 8 months and now going into the new semester. Those of you that came to the back to school convocation, that drives directly at this. We want them to feel valued. We want them to feel a part of the community. We want them to feel like they're a part of their school community and their school family. Those are the things that we have to do to continue to drive people to feel like Garden City Public Schools is a place that they want to stay and work. Retention, things that you guys have done. We had a record salary increase for our teachers. We don't talk about it enough, but the salary increase that they got last year was the best salary increase they've ever gotten. Okay, so you guys are showing the teachers that they are valued by financial contribution. Their fringe benefits. Garden City Public Schools has one of the best fringe benefits in all of Western Kansas. I don't know about Eastern Kansas, but I know in Western Kansas, the amount our teachers pay compared to other districts around us is significantly less to have health insurance. We're trying to identify ways to decrease teacher workload. One thing that I will say in education over the years, we've continued to add things to teachers' workloads. There's social emotional learning, there's different reports, there's different tests that we have them do. When I got into education 20 years ago, we didn't have any of that. You showed up, you taught, you did your lesson plans, you left at the end of the day, you graded your homework, you left at the end of the day. There's been a lot more federal, a lot more demands and requirements due to federal funding that have been placed on top of our teachers. Camaraderie and staff morale. We're actively trying to build staff morale. We're actively trying to talk to our principals about building camaraderie within their buildings. Improving leadership and building culture. Again, we're working with our people to try to infuse a sense of pride in their buildings that everybody can grab a hold of and be a part of. And then obviously we want to focus on hiring people that will stay. A few years ago, we went to Michigan. We hired a bunch of teachers from Michigan. It was great. It filled a need, but we've got very few of those people left. So how do we identify people that will come to Garden City and will stay in Garden City or that are from Garden City to begin with? That's what we're trying to identify. So the way that we do this, the thing that we can sell from us as Garden City Public Schools, we do have some of the top performing elementary schools in Western Kansas. When you look at our test scores in some of those elementary schools, they are great elementary schools. When you look at our high school ACT score compared to other high schools around us, compared to Liberal, compared to Dodge, compared to Holcomb, our high school ACT scores far outpace anybody around us. Resources. We are a very big district in a rural community. Because of that, we have the benefit of having resources. We have instructional coaches. We have a more vigorous and vibrant instruction office. We have more things that our teachers can have access to that if you're in smaller districts around us, they just don't get access to. Flexibility. Because we are bigger, our teachers get to choose where they want to teach inside Garden City. They may try one elementary school and find out that they don't like it. They can transfer to another elementary school. They don't have to leave the profession just because they don't like where they're currently at. Pathway to growth. We have one great thing that we have because we're so large. A teacher can become a grade level leader. They can become a building leader. They can transition into an instructional coach. They can eventually become an assistant principal. They can grow into a principal and then grow into leadership at the district level if that is something they would like. Small districts, you really don't have that option. You may have principals and instructional coaches that will be there for the next 25 years. We have the ability for those people to grow within the district and grow their leadership capabilities. Best facilities. If you go through our schools, we have, better schools, better facilities than most schools in Western Kansas. And then the best compensation package. We already with this year's raise and benefits and all the things tied in, our compensation package is the best or either at or the best in all of Western Kansas. So what are we going to do moving forward? We're going to continue to go to all the recruiting fairs that we can possibly go to at the college level. The thing I'll tell you, college recruiting fairs, they're not paying anybody any dividends. College students, by the time they become seniors in college, most of them have signed a letter of intent to work somewhere. That's just the way college teaching is. That's the way education is. I'm sure that's the way most people coming out with an engineering degree or any other degree, most of them probably have jobs already. So college recruiting fairs are not enough for us to continue to grow. We do have our elementary education associate pilot program that we're starting. We're hoping to get that off the ground this year and grow that thing over the years. Transition to teach. We'll continue to have a lot of non-traditional teachers that have come out with bachelor's degrees and want to come back and go back to school and get their education degree. We have a handful of those this year. Our TAP program that a lot of our paras go through, that para to teach program, we'll continue to grow that and identify the best paras that we can possibly identify and push them into those programs. Our LEAP program, that's that apprentice program that the state has approved. We'll continue, and we've done that LEAP program for a number of years. We'll continue to do that. International teachers, there's not a day that goes by that I don't get called asking how to hire international teachers. You have small schools like Grinnell that are starting to hire international teachers, all the way to Topeka Public Schools had a Zoom, Wichita Public Schools. Everybody statewide is figuring out the international teacher scene. And then student teacher incentives, a couple of about mid-November, you guys approved an incentive for us to be able to pay our student teachers, which at the time, we were one of the very few that were able to do it. That incentive is such a big deal because all our non-traditional teachers, a lot of those teachers have come up as either a long-term sub or a para. The problem is when they go to do their student teaching, in the past, we weren't able to pay them. So they had to basically for a semester starve while they did their student teaching. By you guys approving that, they can continue to get paid just like they would as a long-term sub. Recruiting fairs. We attended over 20 recruiting fairs last year. The recruiting fair process is pretty straightforward and pretty easy. You go to the college, set up your booth, talk to as many kids as you can, get as many applications as you can. Something that's new that we haven't ever done is we offer at recruiting fairs. We used to not offer jobs at recruiting fairs. So now we'll offer a letter of intent. If we find a kid that we need for a specific position, we'll go ahead and offer that day and get them signed to a letter of intent. Again, the problem with recruiting fairs is now most seniors already have jobs. So the people they're sending to the recruiting fair at the colleges, they're mainly freshmen and sophomores. That's fine. We'll start to build that relationship with those freshmen and sophomores. The thing recruiting fairs have done is we've been able to create relationships with the universities. And now in working with the universities, we're going to go and speak at Kansas State University to their education classes. We're going to Emporia State to speak to their education classes. We're going to try to build those relationships where we don't have to wait to a recruiting fair to see these people. We want to get in front of them in a classroom and let our best teachers talk to them about the best practices going on at Garden City Public Schools. And we're going to use that as our avenue of getting in and reaching these college-age kids. Student teacher incentive, we've talked about that. New recruiting method. So what we're going to focus on this next year, we obviously have to grow your own in the international. What we weren't able to do last year that I think we can do a lot better job is inside 100 miles. Inside 100 miles of Garden City, small town superintendents aren't going to like it, but we're really going to recruit their teachers very heavily. We have a better compensation package. We have a better insurance package. We have a lot of teachers that live in Garden City, that drive to Deerfield, that drive to Holcomb, that drive to Lakin, that drive to Ingalls, drive to Scott City. Those people are going to be our focus in 2024, 2025. Going after them, most of them used to work at the district. How do we get those folks to come back to the district? That's going to be our focus in this coming year. This past year, moving on a little bit to classified, this past year, or going into this year, we've had a very good year hiring classified positions. Last year, when we started the year, we had over 90 open para positions when we started the year. We're going into this year with 35 open para positions. We have significantly reduced the number of classified openings that we have in the district. I'm not going to take all credit for it. I think a lot of it has to do with the economy of Garden City. People are looking for jobs again after COVID. All that money's kind of ran out, so people are out looking for jobs. Special education paras, we've done a really, really good job of. We have 231 open positions. We only have 22 open para spots yet to fill. And paras are one of those things that we're constantly, as fast as we can get them, we're processing them in and hiring them. Transportation, Shane has done a very good job at growing his own in transportation. He kind of has a pilot program where they can start as small fleet drivers and grow into bus drivers. That's been a very beneficial program for us. 5 openings in transportation is dang near unheard of. Secretarial positions, we don't have a single secretary position open in the district. Custodian positions, we only have 3 open custodian positions. There's years that we have 18, 19, 20 open custodial positions. Crossing guard is a place we're struggling. We only have 10 crossing guard positions, but we have 4 of those open. So if you know any people that are interested in doing crossing guard positions, we would love to have them. Plant facilities, 27 positions, 2 are open. Both of them are electrical. So if you know anybody that does electrical on a school budget, we'd love to have them. And then tech, every single tech position, sysops position that we have is filled for the 24-25 school year. So we've had a very good year. We feel like we've done a very good job. Anytime hiring people is messy because it has to do with people. So anytime you hire people, things are going to get messy because you're dealing with people, whether it's teachers or paras or custodial, whatever it may be, you're dealing with people. So things get messy from time to time. We feel like we've done a very good job. We feel like we've adhered to your guys' 5-year strategic plan of hiring highly effective classroom teachers. And we're going to continue marching forward and try to make Garden City the best public school in the state of Kansas. So, questions? All right.
I got one. Do we do exit interviews when people leave?
We do.
for retirement?
Yeah,
Who sees those?
just the HR department. But we do exit interviews on all of our employees and try to gather trends and it's very beneficial. A lot of times people will they don't pay it a lot of mind, but the ones that pay them, will take time and fill out those exit interviews and sit down and take time doing it. It's very beneficial, especially for retiring folks. It's always interesting to hear what they have to say because they're the ones that have been in the district for decades. So it's always good to hear what they have to say about, what things are going well now compared to them, what could have possibly kept them in the profession a little bit longer. How could we, squeezed a year here, a year there out of them? On the other end of it, when you talk to a lot of the retiring folks, a lot of times when you see younger people retiring, it's often connected to health issues and wanting to be able to retire and enjoy some of that retirement before health issues get much worse.
When you go on these recruiting trips or whatever, who recruits? Do you have like a team that goes, or is it just your job? Who does that?
Yeah, so we have a small team, but generally it's administrators. Last year, because I came in October, it was just a small administrative team. Moving forward, administrators aren't the best people to recruit your schools. It's teachers. Teachers do a lot better job recruiting than administrators. We kind of have a different view on education. I've been disconnected from the classroom for a few years, so it's always better to have teachers. Last year, we weren't able to do that because I took over at the end of October. And so by the time you get all that stuff arranged, but this year it's going to be an administrator and the rest will be teachers. And balancing out that sub issue, now that we're able to push more long-term subs back into the classroom, they're back into the sub pool where they're not in the classroom every single day. We have those subs available to help send teachers to actually go recruit for us.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thanks, sir.
On that, Randy, myself, I know Josh went, I'm not sure Jessica went, but so if we can partner up with the teacher, definitely what Drew's alluding to is just the verbiage and the actual recruitment, put a teacher in front of them, they would and could make a difference. But the seniors kind of really do sometimes already have a plan, so it's interesting.
I'll be upfront and honest. Like I'm a little intimidating for some college kids to, especially elementary teachers, to come across. I put the smile on and I'm happy and I'll shake. The one thing I will do is I'll talk. My son makes fun of me because I'll talk to about anybody. But those young teachers, you want to make sure they feel comfortable when they come to talk to Garden City for the first time. And so putting people out in front of them that look more like them, that they'll feel comfortable talking to, is the districts that do that well, that do a good job of that, are the ones that you see a lot more kids lining up to talk to. All right. Thank you, guys. that one of them? Just made me extend my time. I apologize.
Okay, we'll move on to item H2, budget presentation. Jessica Nolan.
Oh, wait,
Wait.
am I back?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I missed new business. Sorry, I skipped.
Sorry. I'm back.
I already had it highlighted.
So, I hate doing this. This is a little bit more of a pressing issue. TMA, we had Brandon Anderson take over at Plant Facilities. He took over on August 12th. We had a fairly large purchase that we needed to make. We did not want to make that without Brandon Anderson in place and having looked at TMA. What TMA is it is our Plant Facilities operating system. It's the thing that controls all of our work orders. It tells us how much time individual plant facilities people are spending on each project. It is basically the guts of how we do things at plant facilities, whether it's custodial, grounds, or maintenance. So TMA, the system is up for renewal. We've had this system for the past few years. It's not a new system. It's just up for renewal. Because it's up for renewal, generally we would have put it on the consent agenda. Because it's Brandon's first year, he wasn't sure if he wanted to stay with TMA or not. He's met with TMA, he's met with his people. He wants to continue with TMA. So all that we're asking is to continue with TMA and allow a 1-year renewal for him to get his feet underneath him. For sure whether or not he wants to stay with TMA long-term, but we'd like to stay with him for the next year at least. They did offer a 3-year contract. We didn't really want to bring that one forward because if he wants to switch companies after the end of the year, this will allow him to do that. So I am asking for action on that one thing. Questions?
How many years have we used the TMA?
I think this is our 4th year with TMA.
And what, was there a price difference between a 1-year and a 3-year?
Yeah, so about $3,000 a year difference. So the 3-year, the thing that the 3-year did do is it locked in an escalator at 5%. I don't know what to think or where to go. I don't know if escalators are gonna start creeping back down or if escalators are gonna stay at 5 to 7%. Most of the stuff that we have on contracts that are multi-year contracts, we're seeing anywhere from 3 to 5%, or excuse me, 5 to 7%. So my recommendation is to take action if you can.
Mr. President, I move that we approve the renewal of the TMA system for plant facilities.
A second.
It's been moved and seconded. For the Board of Education to approve the renewal of TMA software for 1 year at the cost of $63,781.98. Any further discussion? All those in favor, raise your left hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Now we'll move on to H2, budget presentation and consideration of approval.
Okay, just approval for the publication, won't need final action yet. So I just kind of took what I presented at the last meeting and added a couple things after I met with some of you and visited with some of you regarding the budget. Again, we just have to make it very clear that we considered the building needs assessment in producing the budget. And so just a list of the things that were taken into consideration. Specifically PD and then paying teachers for their PD outside of the contracted time. That was like the 2 main ones. And we definitely want to pay them when they need to be paid. So science of reading, retention and recruitment, and then providing resources and support for the tier 2 and tier 3 interventions. And then social emotional learning resources, ESL strategies, and then trying to decrease the absenteeism issues that we see in our buildings. Again, just our enrollment's really small, but in the last few years, from fiscal year 20 to 24, just continually decreasing. The numbers, I think do look better for this current year. So we'll find that out for sure on the 20th. So hopefully we can report good news then. Assessed valuation. So I talked a little bit about this, how our assessed valuation is going up. But because of all the tax incentives, the actual valuation that we can use when figuring our budget decreased 34 million. I added that equates to the value of each mill decreasing approximately $33,000 from what if we would have actually been able to use our full assessed valuation. Mill rates. I added some on this one as well. Just again, last year, the intent of the board and the approval was for the 49.4 mills. And then because of the R&R deadline error that we actually saved the taxpayer dollars, 2.812 mills, which was over $1.1 million. So you guys, some of you approved that we were going to go to that 49.4. And then when we didn't, the taxpayers actually decreased, the taxes levy decreased. So for this year, the proposed increase for the 3.412 mills equates to about 1.3 million. Actually, this is not the most updated PowerPoint.
That's the one you sent me.
I just sent it like right before. You don't have it? Okay.
Yeah, I got the one.
No worries. So I actually, before I came in, I was talking to the State Department, and I didn't know like the best way to show you guys how the taxes levied were really going to impact local taxpayer dollars because of the way that the tax incentive works. So in working with her at the Sarah Barnes at the state level, we are actually going to, those 3.412 mills is actually only $365,000 of new money. So if we would have stayed at the 46.588 mills, compared to where we're going with the 50, because of the way the valuation affected the mills, it's actually only 365,000 in new money. So this slide is off a little bit because of that and how she had me change it. So I raised the mills or the proposed increases in LOB or supplemental general. We get 62% of state aid on those mills that we raise. So by impacting our overall budget, this 1.3 million, only 38% of that comes back to the taxpayer dollars. So in that figure, the expense locally is the 507,000, but in new money, in actual taxes levied, that 300 and some thousand, it equates to only like $118,000 that's going to impact our local taxpayers. And I can send you guys the slideshow I just got done doing. But overall, it's just, I just think it's important that it sounds like 3 mills were going to go up a lot, but because the value of those mills are going down, the actual increase financially is not that impactful. This one I just showed you last time, just kind of how the different funds were impacted. And then this one is the same. It's just a repeated slide where I kind of broke down, or maybe this one's new, the value of each mill. I wanted to point that out. So last year, each mill was worth $416,000. This fiscal year, it's only worth $391 million. So that kind of goes to show you how much the value of our mills decreased and why a 3.4 mill increase isn't that impactful. So just kind of trying to stay steady, keep the budget steady, not increasing a lot, but feel like it's important to raise those mills up to the 50 just to keep up with inflation and keep the actual taxes flat for the budget next year. So important dates again, we talked a little bit about it, last meeting, and then I met with, 3 or 4 of you. Tonight, I just need the permission to publish the RNR and then the code 99. And I will, email that to the county clerk tomorrow, as well as post it on our website so that, and I can email it to you guys too, so that you guys have it, and then, anybody can go on our website and look at it before you guys make a motion at the next meeting to approve it. And that's really all I had. I apologize, I should have sent my updated slides to you sooner. But yeah, there is just a variation on what actually is being assessed to the local taxpayer dollars, and how much we actually generate for the district is not, it's just not very substantial when you look at 3.4 mils. So it's kind of misleading just because of the valuation. So if there are no questions, that's all I have. And just need the motion to publish it.
Application of let me read. Oh, you got one. Sorry. You got ahead of me. I was waiting for questions. All right. There's no question.
Sorry, and I was reading, so.
It's all right.
Is there any further questions?
All right, Mr. President, I move that the Board of Education approve publication of the notice exceeding the revenue neutral rate for the 2024-2025 school year, and the publication of the 2024-2025 budget to our website and the Garden City Telegram. I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further questions? All those in favor, raise your left hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, we'll move on to board open discussions. Robin, you're up.
Again, thank you guys for all your hard work. Drew, I appreciated your update. I'm a firm believer that money is ultimately why people take a job, but it's not why they stay. So I liked how you threw all those things in there about the other things that we're trying to do to retain those teachers and build a true community among the district. So I'm super excited to see how that plays out.
Mark?
I want to thank you all for what you're doing here. We're about to a new school year, and things are going. Hopefully the recruit, we can get the teachers, and appreciate what you guys are doing there. One thing I wanted to say, and I'm not sure this doesn't involve that, but the boundary study subcommittee, you guys, Andy, Robin, and Nathan, right? You guys have met a lot. And I know we kind of gave some direction of what we wanted and where we wanted you to go. I have a little bit of a concern how that all is going to, not that you guys aren't doing your job, but how all that's going to come back to us and how we're going to make a decision in some short time frame when y'all have spent a lot of time doing this with that committee. So, I just want to put that out there that that's going to be a big decision that we're going to have to make at some point, and how we're going to do that and how you're going to bring that back to us. I don't know. Just want to say something about that because it's been on my mind. You get an email here and there, you talk to a teacher here and there, and get some input and some feedback, and anyway, that's all I have. But hey, one thing, thank you for the time you guys are putting into that, because I know you're putting time into it. Hey, that was 2 meetings of note that we did tonight and several last time too. So now I'm done. Thank you.
It's been a great summer, great start to the year. I had a great opportunity to attend the opening session for the teachers and it was just done really well. I heard a lot of great positive comments from that. I had a great speaker, was there. As a matter of fact, did it get recorded?
No, we didn't record it. They don't let us record them.
Okay, all right, well, bummer. Anyway, but it was a really great motivational thing. Heard a lot of positive comments from the teachers, so I appreciate that. And there was some things happening around the schools that are coming together. A lot of the summer projects, construction projects finished well. I know the staff was working hard getting those together. I know the new exit gates, at the high school are in for the emergency exit gates. And we were able to get a path back to the one side as well from the church there. So we should have that taken care of, that concern that teachers had last year. So we addressed that and that's in place for those kids. And just a great opening to the year and just excited about what's coming next. So appreciate everybody.
Yeah, I'd just like to echo a lot of the statements, but I do want to thank you guys in the HR department. I know that it's been a lot of hard work and you guys are being creative and I like to grow your own. I do like what Robin says too. I know people stay because of culture and working on culture is something that you guys are doing and I appreciate that because I agree with Robin, like money's great, but at the end of the day, you know, going to work and enjoying the people that you work with and aligning yourself with the goal and the vision of the district and wanting to educate our students is why people come to work. They want to make a difference in someone's life. So I appreciate that. And then Jessica, I want to say thanks for the work on the budget as well. I know you put a lot of hours into that. I appreciate that. So.
I echo the same thing. Thanks to Drew for his people for getting people, keeping people. Jessica for the budget and thank you, Josh, too. I know you didn't tell us, but I know you've done stuff. That's all.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you to all of our faculty across the whole district. Welcome. We're really excited to be starting our school year again and just appreciate all your enthusiasm and effort and energy as we kind of start a new school year. Mark, I appreciated your comments and I want to thank our administration and my fellow committee members, Robin and Nathan, as we, excuse me, since we had our board retreat, we have been meeting every week, just to kind of give you and folks watching online an update. We have been meeting every Thursday at 5. We've been anywhere between an hour and a half and 2 hours on average. We've asked and gotten a lot from administration. We've kind of been walking through a lot of data and that kind of asked other levels of questions. And we've been really digging deep into a lot of things. I don't know that we've set a date yet, but we are working towards a plan to bring a recommendation to the board in the near future, and probably and host another board retreat where we can kind of talk in depth again of everything we've discussed. So a lot of things happening behind the scenes, a lot of information being processed, and like I said, I just want to thank everybody who's been on that committee and who's on the committee and our administration team for everything they've done, because they've done quite a bit. So.
Yeah, so I went to the welcome back event at the high school. When I walked in there, I didn't know if I was at a Taylor Swift concert or what. It was so awesome. It was not what I expected. I was overwhelmed by it. I thought it was great. It looked like everybody had an awesome time, had fun, and I enjoyed the speaker too. You know, he was a pretty motivational guy. So I thought it was really, really cool that what happened. Totally not what I expected it to be. So it was good. A lot of work went into it and I appreciate it. Yeah, recruitment retention, I understand that. I did that. That was my last job for 10 years before I retired, and it's tough. And the nice thing is I see everybody takes ownership in it, because it really is. You know, I always said in every person's job description, you should say recruiter, because really that's who recruits. It should be everybody's job to recruit. And I like the direction that you guys are going with that. And putting it out there to the people and doing a great job at hiring people right now for sure. And then budget, I too want to thank Jessica because I was a little paranoid and freaked out about, I didn't want to raise mills. I didn't want to do this. I was totally not before that. But once we sat down and we talked and you explained it, and really when everything comes out in the wash, I was able to sleep at night. So I appreciate that and all the hard work everybody's done. So, Dr. D.
Yes, thank you. And convocation, we wanted to stress everyone leads. Craig Zablocki was the speaker on Drew's side, on the HR side, and he alluded to it, but in 1975, 22% of all educators, all individuals going to school and a university, 22% were in education. 2020, less than 5%. So it is drying up. It is different. It's a different landscape. So getting highly qualified teachers in the classroom in front of our kids, which is what our main goal is definitely different. We're definitely have to put a different lens on it and recruit differently. Thank you for the team on the budget. Definitely thank you for the board for the premium pay on their last little bit of ESSER money that will be going into the check by the end of August. Subcommittee, the boundary subcommittee. We talked about board with maybe a board retreat on August the 29th to kind of update you on where we're at. Here in the board meeting at 5, possibly go to some buildings and let you see what we're talking about, let you see where we're at as far as the reflection of the buildings, and hopefully be able to, number one, get that configured, design it, and then be able to get a field trip going on August the 29th. So look at your calendar if you can do that. But just really, really excited. Admin has been on, leadership team has been on every building. I've been personally on 11 or 12 buildings, gotten out there, already doing some walkthroughs with curriculum and instruction. So the year has started well, working on our procedures and routines, just try to, once again, have a great year where everyone leads. So very excited about it.
Thank you. Next board meeting will be on September 9th at 6 p.m. in the board meeting room at the Education Support Center. I don't have to do anything with accounts payable, right?
No.
Okay. With all that, we will make a motion to adjourn.
Mr. President, I move we adjourn.
Second.
Second to adjourn. All in favor, raise your left hand. Opposed, same sign. Meeting's adjourned.